You know, Jamie, good morning, first and foremost.
Good morning.
I really like this studio. I'm not
Me
going to lie
too.
to you. I really love my properties and I love my family more than you can imagine, but being able to film in a isolated environment like this really draws the line between my personal life
Yeah.
and my professional life.
It's true.
And a lot of this channel is about this one asshole named Daniel M. Reeses and his assistant, and how much can two people do with very finite resources, not infinite resources. And
Just to be clear.
one thing that I really want to take advantage of is being able to bookend Friday's release. So going forward, I think that it is in our best interest to have continuity in the way the audience will receive the content. So on Friday afternoon, we will start to release the content for the week that has happened. So that gives a chance for the dust to settle and for us to really have a chance to think about the content before putting it up.
Okay.
And that really allows everyone to watch it during a time that is more convenient for the audience, because my goal is to not have, we should have turned that unit off outside, if you don't mind. Well, here I am alone, and as you can see, I'm a pretty boring guy. It's kind of like, it's a little weird, right? So I guess Jamie will eventually watch this, but essentially, I'm a very positive person. And this channel is really about being able to make the best out of everything that you have without destroying. What's that?
It's like the units right now.
Ah, the unit. All right, well, we'll see if the audio is affected by it. So I was just awkwardly talking to the camera while you were gone.
About what?
Just like trying to make shit up. It was.
So let's get back on point. What are we doing today?
Well, today is a legal, what would you call a form of a letter that we submit to the courts?
What do you mean? Restate the question.
If we want to write a letter to the court.
Is this our letter?
This is our letter.
Then a video affidavit you sent?
Video affidavit. So my name is Daniel M. Reeses. What I'm about to say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So I swore myself in. Go ahead.
Today is March
You
9th.
swear yourself in, because if you testify, I believe
Okay.
that is something that is a requirement of the courts.
Okay. My name is Jamie Resnick, Jaimieresneck, and everything I say here is the truth and nothing but the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
So help you God.
So.
I don't know if that's like a threat or.
I know, right?
But,
Well, God.
but that's a good example of some of the archaic principles of the court systems that you, and many other people are looking to change, whereas the human being that I have selected to be president doesn't seem to really understand that the problem is not within the system or the people, but it is with both, whereas change is required on both the system, such as to help me God, as well as some individuals
Such as to
that
help me
are
God.
literally incompetent and have used their position to hurt myself and many other human beings that are not doing their job as a politically motivated human being. Do you understand the difference?
Yeah.
Do you understand how hard it is for me to do my job in a world where a man like Donald Trump goes out and publicly tries to discredit the court systems, whereas I am trying to bolster the integrity of the courts, but it is so often confused because it is convenient to counter my argument with comparing myself to Donald J. Trump. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
So one would say, why are you doing
There's a
that?
personal agenda. No.
Yeah, well, who's a personal for Donald J.
Yeah.
Trump? Right, so for me, I actually know that it's a personal agenda, and I'm allowed to make it a personal agenda because I'm not only pro se, the issues that I'm addressing actually happen to me. So I'm allowed to film a video where I call for the resignation of 7 judges because I know for a fact that that is not a part of my job. My job is not to call for the resignation of 7 judges. Donald J. Trump thinks that that's part of his job. Do you understand?
Yeah, okay.
That's the biggest difference between myself and Donald J. Trump. I also very much agree with a lot of the policies that have been instituted, but I believe that the speed at which the policies have been instituted have opened the door for massive amounts of criticism, because one would say, how are you able to execute on this type of level unless you had everything pre-planned, knowing that you're going to win the election? Because remember, it's not just the immediate cut of everything. It is also an analysis, and a lot of people don't really understand that artificial intelligence really outweighs any form of mathematical applied argument that can be said regarding, well, this the Doge organization is making swift and unnecessary cuts, and the Doge organization will provide you with a 500-page artificially intelligent deduced brief that shows where all the spending has been going,
Right.
and why it is completely criminal. I mean, a lot of the spending is really criminal, but rather than making a video and addressing the truth to the American people, Donald J. Trump chooses to make it a political agenda because he is able to really bolster his brand amongst his constituents by making the argument about himself and his personal
Right.
issues,
Okay,
rather
yeah.
than addressing the basic facts that Elon Musk is not the president, he's not the vice president, he is a very intelligent human being. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
He's a very intelligent human being who is not motivated by money. And I think that that's really where the fear factor comes in, where when a human being is
Yeah.
not motivated by money, they're motivated by a secondary power. And that secondary power is power.
Yeah,
And,
that's true. Well said.
and when you have someone that is motivated in that light in a digital world, they're not going to expose themselves to such massive things such as criminal charges that can be associated with human beings that terminate people who actually have legitimate jobs and have justifiable reasons to be there. But at the same time, you really can't do a job like that without understanding that there's going to be so much ramifications, and that's where the courts really need to step in. And should Donald Trump and Elon Musk lose their argument in the court of law, then they need to be able to abide by this court, or else we don't, as a country, have a third party that is legitimate and able to deduce who is right and who is wrong. Now, there's a lot of arguments that need to be made that artificial intelligence can easily make the deductions that are fact-based, and then the legal analysis needs to be rooted back to a human being so that someone is responsible for the
For what
final
it
decision.
says.
For the final decision.
Oh, for the decision,
For the
the
decision.
report.
And that's where the integrity of the person who makes the decision comes in, because you need to be able to rely on a human being that's a good person.
Right.
You need,
That's
it's,
true.
it's really
It's really-
important. Like
yeah.
that part of it is really, really important.
Yeah.
And I think that's very often overlooked. And that's where my appeal with Judge Sherwood comes in, is that my judge that is going to be in charge of everything, and really he and I are going to make history together, is the truth. He's a good person. That's the truth. The truth is that's a good man right there. And I'm going to be able to prove it. And that's where my case is. My case is not about the facts. Everybody knows I didn't sign a piece of paper. Everybody knows that it is impossible to beat me at this point. So the smear tactics have all come out. So for example, the counter argument and the motions that were filed against my ab initio motion, did they mention ab initio at all? Did they at all say why it's not
remember.
applicable? Well, the reason why I say this is because there are many holes that can be opened.
I don't think that they were because they weren't in response to that. They were.
Right, so to the point of what I'm saying is, wouldn't you think that a counter argument would mention the most critical factor? And the
Yeah.
point of what I'm saying is that with all of the artificial intelligence at our disposal, we do not use it to make the most critical and important decisions. For example,
I was going to say, give me an example.
this concept of ab initio, was it provided to me through artificial intelligence or Jamie Resnick?
Jamie Resnick.
Boom. You are the living, breathing example of why artificial intelligence is not at a point where it can be a reliable source of actual evidence. But it is something that can put facts and evidence together far better
Right.
than 99.9% of any paralegal you'll ever find. So when people read the things that I produce, I don't use artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence uses me
Yeah.
in order
It's true.
to make the product for the United States
Yeah.
a much better product, because my cases are the most definitive example of where ab initio is applicable to both my personal life and my professional life. And you might ask yourself, just like the audience, where is he going with all this? And I'll explain. You see, I have a very interesting relationship with my in-laws. I don't know if you knew about that.
I have heard a story or two.
And I've realized that right now we have a great relationship.
Yeah.
We have no conflicts whatsoever.
it's great.
Everything is really, really great. I mean, the only problem is we don't talk. But other than
But that's maybe for the best.
but we definitely get along. We watch the kids' games and things like that. And second thing I want to say is that because the relationship is really good, I'm able to really comment on a lot of the positive things. And I've known them for 25 years almost, 24.7. But those things are math. Now, math is not something that many people want to address when dealing with an emotional state. So what I'm going to try to do right now is make an appeal for their logical and emotional state via a surrogate. Now, my in-laws are really, in my opinion, good human beings. I believe that they are a positive force in my kids' lives, and I would never do anything to jeopardize that aspect of it.
Right.
That being said, the third element in this dynamic, not just my wife and I and my in-laws, is my brother-in-law, who is actually a very good father, and I've been friends with him for almost my entire relationship up until the last half a decade or so. And the reason for that, and things were a little tumultuous before that, and the reason for that is because of business that we did together and a lot of misunderstandings that simply, I don't really think anyone wants to hear the reality of, hey, I have always been this type of a person. We have had a social contract that you understand, that I am a different frequency human being than a lot of other people. Whether or not you believe my story does not change that we have a mutual interest of the people we love. We love the same people. There's no reason why my family, who I consider them my family because I choose not to communicate with my actual birth family because of the decisions they've made over the last 30 years. Not over the last 5 years or 7 or 10, but 30. And it ended 5 years ago, so it's 35 years. Now, the reason why my brother-in-law is such an important factor is not only is he highly intelligent, he's also extremely credible because he represents a logical side that sometimes people that find themselves to be both Jewish and from a geographical location known as Long Island, they bypass. So his logic is very refreshing in a lot of sense. Okay. So this video is really for someone who is an attorney, he's a bankruptcy attorney, and he's very intelligent. So he will be able to decipher and understand that if a human being is able to apply ab initio to the legal context of their life and able to unwind a lot of the malfeasance, they should easily be able to apply ab initio to their personal life and say, had we not lived in a digital world, and the text message that culminated to a big blow-up fight, it simply never would have existed. And we would have just had a fight and moved on. But because we live in a digital world, I am the recipient of massive criticism because the things that I say are forever. They're ab finitio. And that's why I had to invent a word in order to explain that the closest thing that we can create in a world where an actual time machine does not exist is a legal concept known as ab initio combined with the word infinity. And that creates a word called ab finitio, which essentially means that if that didn't happen, would we be here today? And that allows us to look at a dual track narrative circumstance for the average American. And for me, I don't know if you understand, but I'm a big fan of a game. Do you know what that game is?
Chess?
Wow, that's amazing. And you know what I love about chess? You can only make one move at a time. And what would be another word that you would use for move?
Motion?
So one motion at a time is actually a game theory concept that I have been able to take and apply it because our resources are finite. We are not lawyers. We cannot handle more than one motion at a time. There is no reason why the bankruptcy court cannot understand that human beings that are speaking the truth, doing God's work, because the things that we are doing are really beneficial to so many other people that are not named Dan, Jamie, or anyone related to,
Right.
and are really proving their point. So I believe that not only is one move at a time or one motion at a time extremely important, it's also very important and applicable to ab finitio, which then I use to apply to my personal life and say to everyone. And you know, the truth is, the content of the text
Yeah, that's
message
really
was
good.
really based during a time where I was beyond frustrated. It was post-COVID. The stresses of building the house were just destroying me. I was living a lie. I was about to tell the world the truth. I was extremely nervous that I was going to be laughed at. Obviously, I was right to be nervous. And the content really was that I believe that my wife is extremely creative. She deserves support in her creative endeavors. And I really was trying to say that with this new house, there's so much that Mal can do, because I saw that she really designed the interior of the home. I got to give credit where credit is due.
Absolutely,
And when I
yeah.
saw what she was able to do, in conjunction with knowing her and have been being a part of many of her events, and she just has great
Top
taste,
taste.
great taste. And for someone who has such taste like this, it is just borderline criminal to support them in a structured system as being a teacher, where she will be the best example of the chance not taken. And lo and behold, she goes and starts a company, and it's really, I think it's beyond successful, and
Oh my
her
God, yeah.
clients are very intrigued by the process, and she really shows that she's able to, whatever, I could talk forever. But if applying ab finitio, flip the camera and apply it to your family. If Dan Reese has never existed, would you still have a positive relationship with your family?
Well, I think I don't think it was ever positive.
That is a deeper topic. Would you
Do
still
you mean would I
be-
still have a cordial relationship with them? Maybe?
I think so, because if you read
Yeah.
the actual facts of the dates and everything, the culmination of your personal life
Right.
blossoming into an independent state of happiness really started with an initial destruction of the current state. If anyone who doesn't understand
Yeah, that's
anything
true.
about solving very complicated problems, they're unsolvable. You have to destroy the actual process and rebuild it.
Yeah.
That's what applied mathematics fucking 206, if you were like to study it as an actual thing. So one motion at a time, I was just really excited, and that's the culmination
I love
of everything. So now do you understand?
I do,
Are we able
I
to
do.
wrap this video up?
Yeah, totally.
And this is a video for the courts to basically say that, Your Honor, I have been the victim of harassment and frivolous filings such as the ones that you have seen in front of you via Timmy Dugan, Stark and Stark, and this bullshit loan that I never agreed to.
Correct. Correct.
The motions that are in front of me will not be responded any longer until the judge rules about ab initio and its applicability to fraudulent documents as well as the venue. Now, the judge can say, you know what, Reese says you are responsible for being a victim of fraud and theft by deception and things like that. And that would immediately allow me to go to the Supreme Court of the United States, which then would be the complete opposite of what 7 judges really want, because in front of the Supreme Court, the world will see and hear the truth of what has been going on in northern New Jersey and the amount of profit that attorneys have reaped over entrepreneurs not understanding very, very, very basic legal concepts and how to apply them to their own personal lives.
I agree on
How are
a
we doing on
personal
time?
level. Good,
2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Wow, it's plenty of time,
Yeah.
too. If anyone's curious, if you want to see something really interesting about numbers, 6 Ways to Sunday, have you ever heard of that?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, 40 Ways to Sunday is
Is that-
not something that exists.
There's some
So there's a
saying.
scene, if you ever want to watch something really interesting, check out on YouTube, just type in Devil's Advocate, never let him see you coming.
He says 6 way to Sunday?
No, he says 40. So he says
Oh,
400,
that's why.
and then he says 40.
40.
So 440 is a reference to something called PG, which I don't think anyone even believes that I'm a federal agent, so what's the point of the other stuff? And that's the reality. The reality is that I've always been a certain type of a person. I haven't changed at all. I was driving
Very
yesterday.
consistent.
Before you wrap it up, I just wanted to say that I never lied. I never lied. I don't have a motivation to lie. I don't understand the concept of human beings who get paid money to administer a job on behalf of courts, how they can look in themselves in the mirror. I don't even have a job like that, and I don't lie. I believe that lies are one of the most unhealthiest things that a human being can do to themselves. How are we doing so far?
40 seconds.
Look, that's all I want to say, is if there's anything anyone really takes away from this, is that if you are able to stop lying to yourself, you will take one step closer to being happy. And I'm sorry that my truth really made a lot of people unhappy, but I'm not sorry for the people that are the beneficiaries of a much better world.